Hey everybody, this is Joe from the Northeastern Native Plant Digest, and today I'm going to be talking about blue lobelia. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're having a fantastic start to your week. So today I'm going to be talking about blue lobelia. It's also called blue cardinal flower. It's Lobelia syphilitica. So this is a herbaceous perennial that's native to the entire northeastern part of the United States. This is a great late season bloomer. It's coming into its prime right now. Typically these are going to bloom starting around mid to late July. Into August, it really is when they're looking their best, and they'll also bloom into September. So a couple reasons I like this plant. I love these the blue flowers on these plant that are really attractive to pollinators. They get all kinds of bumblebees on them, little other hoverflies, pollinating bees, things like that. This is also a great plant to add to your garden if you want to attract hummingbirds. This is a great hummingbird plant. So these do best in part sun, part shade, with constant moisture. This is not a plant that you want to plant in the southern border. That's a dry border. They will not do good there. These can take full sun as long as they have adequate moisture. But when you find these growing in the wild, typically you're going to find these growing in low-lying areas, in marshy areas, along stream banks, things like that. So they do appreciate a lot of moisture. As far as soil types go, they're not very particular about soil types. I have these growing around my yard in a couple different types of soil. The front side of my house here is it's kind of more traditional garden soil, and it gets part sun, part shade, and it stays moist in here. So they do real well here. In the back by my pond, it's pretty much full clay. And they also seem to do good in clay, so they don't seem to me to be very particular about soil types. So they can get to be fairly tall, around maybe 3 to 4 feet tall. You can pinch them back in the spring if you want to keep them a little bit shorter. These are a clump forming perennial, which can be divided in spring if the clumps get kind of a little bit bigger. I could probably even divide this one that I'm looking at right now. So that's one way that you can propagate these. These will also self-sow, so you will get volunteers that grow from seed. They're not hard to propagate from seed. One of the things you want to keep in mind is that in order to germinate, they need light. So if you want to try to propagate these in a flat, you would want to make sure that you just put them on top of the soil, and you don't want to bury them because they do need light for germination. They're very attractive in the garden. I really love the way they look. I planted one up here a couple years ago, probably more like 3 years ago or so. And as you can see, I have several that have volunteered, and these have all come from seed. If you don't want them from seed, you can pull them up, or you can just let them grow. I kind of like to let them grow in here. They give a nice kind of late season pop of blue. They look great paired with purple coneflower and black-eyed Susans, things of that nature. So I'm going to pause this and walk around my back because I have some in there in the back too, and I want to show what they look like. So I'll be right back. All right, so here's one that's back here by my pond. This one is a volunteer as well. Just started growing and showed up. This is probably about its, I'd say its third year. They really start coming into their own after about the third year. They are considered to be a short-lived perennial, which means, unlike some perennials that are considered long-term, like I'm thinking of lead plant, which can live for decades. These, from everything that I've read about them over the course of the years, typically they supposedly are only going to last maybe 5 to 6 years, something like that. So far, all the ones that I have growing in here are doing really well. So that would be another reason you might want to allow some of your of your seedlings to take. So in case some of them don't come back in a particular year, you could transplant them into that area. So they are Lobelia syphiliticus, as I mentioned earlier. So they are related to Lobelia cardinalis, which is the cardinal flower. So they are kind of like cousins. The cardinal flowers, of course, have those beautiful red flowers. They're very well known to be a hummingbird attractor. But everything that I've seen about these, hummingbirds love this plant. I see them back here on a regular basis and around my front. And it's really good to have plants in your garden for hummingbirds. Just talking about hummingbirds real quick, my wife and I, we do have a couple hummingbird feeders. We do keep them out, but sugar water is never going to be a substitute for nectar from a plant, because plant nectar is going to have minerals and vitamins, things like that, that are actually really good for hummingbirds. So anytime you can have plants in your garden for hummingbirds, it's going to be a lot better than just having sugar water. Now, I'm not trying to discourage sugar water. Like I mentioned, I have hummingbird feeders out there too. Some of them are really kind of artsy and cool, hand-blown glass and stuff like that, which I like. But if it's at all possible, add some native plants to your garden for hummingbirds as well. As far as host plants go, I haven't been able to find out any information on if these are a host plant. So if anybody has any information out there, I'd appreciate leaving a comment below. I looked into National Wildlife Federation's Plant Finder, which is usually one of my go-to sources for looking up host plant information, and they didn't actually have this plant listed in the Lobelia section, and I'm not sure why. I know that the site is still kind of like in beta stages, which means it's still under development, so maybe they'll add it later, because I do notice from time to time it gets updated. Anyway, I just wanted to do this video and show you this beautiful plant that's good for pollinators, hummingbirds, and adding beauty to your garden. Again, this is blue lobelia, or blue cardinal flower. And appreciate everybody that's subscribed to my channel. I appreciate all the positive feedback, all the positive comments, and hope you have a great day. Get out there and get your hands dirty. Bye.